Alright guys, I got your boy Jet Stingren here today, and today we're back with some more reverse 1999 content. Today we're going to be doing our showcase on Recoleta. Recoleta is finally here. We got her over the course of the next few days. We're going to take a look at her, talk about how good she is, and talk about her kit and everything. And let's get right into it with the showcase. Alright guys, so we are here with the Recoleta kit overview. We're going to talk about everything that you need to know from her inheritances, skills, cube choices, portrait resonance, and of course the final build stat total if you are using the recommended build that I am using in this video as well. Also, then we're going to follow up with a showcase portion of the video, which of course will kind of show off the cool thing about Recoleta and how of the character she is. So let's get right into it with her inheritances. So Insight 1, she has max Moxie plus 2 to require Moxie to cast ultimates is still 5, which basically means she now has an effective 7 max of Moxie, very similar to characters like Andronala, who actually go above the standard amount for a standard Moxie value, which is really cool. After another ally casts an ultimate, Recoleta will gain Moxie plus 1, and for each point of Moxie consumed by one target or mass ultimate, Recoleta gains 1 stack of Momo Mythic narrative and a symbol narrative. Now these two are one of the most important buffs that you need to pay attention to when playing Recoleta. Recoleta really wants to max these out, and effectively with her best team, you actually get access to this very quickly because of certain partners that you can run with her who can ult frequently, who can build Moxie very fast. She also has supportive moves in her kit that can help you allow for other characters to build Moxie faster. So there's a lot of ways that you can actually quickly build up Momo Mythic and a symbol narrative. As a cool bonus effect as well, is both of these effects can be stacked up to the maximum. So let's talk about their effects. Momo Mythic Narrative, when consuming an ultimate, consumes all stacks of the status. When each stack consumed deals an additional 50% reality damage to the main target and stacks up to 20 times. And a symbol narrative, which does, when casting ultimate, again consumes all the stacks, and with each consumed stack deals an additional 25% to all targets. Now, one thing I will talk about this is really of course for the ultimate, is that Recoleta can hit for some disgustingly high numbers because you can stack both of these. These are both limit stacks of 20 each, and you can really reach some dummy high numbers with just these effects alone. I believe Momo Mythic actually gives you about a 1000% modifier buff to the main target, which is actually insane. And then you have a symbol narrative who gives you like 500%, which is again very high numbers in ultimate damage. There is just a lot of ways that you can actively buff up Recoleta's ultimate for her to deal the most possible damage that she can. And yeah, again, very powerful effect. Critical damage was 15% on Insight 2. Again, very good. It's actually good she got critical damage at a rate because she actually builds very good into crit rate, especially if you get a resonance pattern. So that's actually pretty good. And the Insight 3 gives you max Moxie plus 3, which means her cap goes from 7 to 10, which is again very nice. When entering battle, gains Moxie plus 3 and 1 stack of preparation Recoleta. After casting an ultimate, for every 10 stacks of Momo Mythic and or in symbol narrative consumed, gains 1 stack of preparation Recoleta a stack for once. So basically, if we did talk about the strat that we just talked about earlier where we can stack up both Momo Mythic and a symbol, this technically doesn't matter for the preparation effect, which means you only get one regardless. So even if you have full 20 stacks on both Momo Mythic and in symbol, which would technically mean you would get 4 cast of the ult, you only get one no matter what. This changes if you were to go higher into a portray cycle, which we'll talk about later on in the video, but for the most part you get one guarantee if you're playing Recoleta correctly, which is of course building up your Momo Mythic in your symbol narrative. Sometimes you only can build up Momo Mythic if it's just single target content, but if you're going against an AoE stage, then you can definitely build up both to really get off an explosive ultimate on enemies, which you'll be getting to see in the showcase part of the video. Let's talk about what preparation Recoleta does. Basically, it gives you the ability Flood of Fiction, which of course can be casted as soon as you yourself pop an ultimate or at the start of the fight, because she automatically will precast one for the card selection. And basically what this does is it will make the ally with the highest Moxie value automatically use her ult, and they will refund the Moxie that they had originally. So if you had a team where you're using her with someone like Melania who can give herself instant Moxie plus 5 for ult, you can then pop Flood of Fiction to make Melania pop her ult, and then can have her do her ult to effectively do ult twice in one rotation, which is really powerful considering how good Melania's Euphoria is. So that's actually a really powerful combination. There's a lot of other characters in the game that natively can gain up a bit of moxie to actively do certain things. There's some wonky combinations out there where you can actually build up with like characters like Anjo, or there's other characters who you can effectively force to get higher moxie values by making them take more actions than required. Then you make them ult. It's another cool thing that you can do too with someone like Liang Yu, because for it's specifically really good for only P0 Liang Yu, P0, and I think it's P1. P0, P1 Liang Yu, you can actually make her act twice, then have her flood of fiction, and you can hold on to the ult to kind of loop it a little bit more safely, which is a little bit more fun. That's something that you can effectively do, which is still kind of cool. But there is a good amount of combinations you can run with Recoleta to effectively allow someone to ult frequently. Now, if you're using her on a budget team where it's mostly just 5 stars because you're kind of newer to the game, 9 times out of 10 when you pop flood of fiction, she's gonna pop her own ult first, because she will have the highest moxie, because she starts with she starts with 3 effectively, and most 5 stars usually don't start with that much moxie. Some do, but for the most part you can then just do it like that. And also, reminder, this is a precast, so you have to use it the turn that it generates. So for example, the first one that generates, this is a precast, so that means if you don't use it that turn, then it just goes away. So I would always pop your preparation whenever available to try to manipulate it as best as you can. The best source I can really recommend for you to really pop this off is either if you just let Recoleta get a strong hit off herself. It won't do as much because you don't have any really stacks of Momo Mythic or Ensemble built up, unless you pop skills first, then proceed to go for it, which 9 times out of 10 you can only do it once or twice. You can use it twice if you're using the newer tuning that was released in 1.9. You can kind of just RNG roll for the card, but other than that, that's really just that. But yeah, overall, pretty good inheritances, and they're all really good. So let's talk about her skills. So this is her first skill. It is a one target attack that deals a max of 250% reality damage, and after attacking, she will inflict 2 stacks of Passion Drain. And Passion Drain is whenever the target is attacked, the attacker will gain 1 moxie. Now this is really good for building up other characters, and of course building up Recoleta herself, because 2 stacks is means 2 individual hits, which is good. This is really good for characters who really want to kind of get a jump off on getting the ultimates, or kind of want to just help build up a little bit faster. This is a really cool combination with someone like Yang Yu, who really does struggle with looping her ult at lower investment level. If you have a higher invested Yang Yu, then you don't really run into this problem at all. But if you're lower invested, which is like P0, P1 territory, then you can inflict Passion Drain with Rico and then allow Liang Yu to quickly gain Moxie while you're still in that field, and you effectively get +4 Moxie in a single turn if you just commit to 2 actions, which is what you're normally doing with her anyway, which is pretty strong. I mean, that's pretty strong for certain characters. There's a lot of other characters that I really love looping this effect around, like Melania, like other supports, and anything that would really want to get into their ult. Now, unfortunately, for some other premium options like Vila, this does nothing for her because she does not attack. They have to actively attack that target. So characters who traditionally don't deal DPS won't get full use of Passion Drain, but like 99% of the game's roster does attack. So yeah, anyway. And then this is what buffs up her card. So Literary Imaginary, which does a max of 300% reality damage to 2 enemies. And there's only 1 target, you would gain 5 stacks of Momo Mythic Narrative, and there's 5 stacks of Ensemble Narrative if there is other enemies on the field. Now this is your main way that you can build up Ensemble Narrative. With Millennia's best premium team, you traditionally are building up more stacks of Momo Mythic than Ensemble because its primary partners are single target ultimates. This being examples of like Pickles, Millennia, and Fatutu as prime examples, or even Medicine Pocket as some people have ran in the past, or even some of the more budget friendly options like Beakhorn and stuff like that, where your ults are primarily single target ultimates. This is what's going to build your Momo Mythic narrative. Now however, if you're in a fight where it's just a boss, then that means you can really overcap your Momo Mythic very quickly, which of course is just fine. But if you're in an AoE situation, you can simply just rely on them to build up your Momo Mythic while you yourself build up your Ensemble, and then you can reach to 2020 just like that, and then you can simply just pop up a disastrously strong ultimate, and that's really, really cool. This is primarily the skill that you should be using the most. You should be using the skill the most. Of course, do mind fitting in some metaphysical conceits just to get passing drain for certain people, just so you can kind of get to her ults a little bit faster. But again, for the most part, whenever you play Recoleta, use literary and imaginary as much as you possibly can, so that way you know to build up her in symbols as quickly as possible. If you can build up her narratives very, very quickly, then you can really get off with some high damage output, and that is what you want to recommend here. And in her ultimate, which does a mass attack of 450% reality damage to all enemies and an additional 450% reality damage to the main target, consumes all stacks of Momo Mythic Narrative and a similar narrative to deal additional reality damage. And when casting this ultimate, consumes all Moxie on self, and for each additional Moxie consumed, gains ultimate might plus 15%. This is a max because it's technically including the standard 5, but if you go above this effect, then this effect is consumed to make it double, which makes it 30%. And she also gives Moxie this one to the ally to the Lars code Moxie, which is actually not bad. That's a free Moxie battery for like someone just to kind of get off the ground, which is cool. Very, very cool. But this is a move that's going to really demonstrate just how strong of a unit she is. With proper built up stacks of Momo Mythic and in symbol, you're going to see some dummy high levels of damage. If you're just kind of getting into the meta, or you're just getting into using like a character someone as strong as Recoleta, like a tier like S plus unit, then you're going to really see it. And in fact that there's so many effective ways to buff up ultimate might, whether it be by cube choice, partners, and other things like that, you can really stack this up to a ridiculous level modifier. I believe the direct totals you can get, I think it's like 1450 on main target. And I think you get like 1,000 on AoE enemies, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong. I could be totally butchering the direct math, but I know for sure it's 1450 on main because of the 50 times 20, which is effectively 1,000. So yeah, it's very strong. But of course, this is technically not even the direct amount, because you get this effect. You also get effect from things like our cubes and partners and so on and so forth. So let's talk about direct cubes that you can run with her. So of course, you obviously want her own standard cube. Her own cube is very strong. It gives her a crit rate, which is a fantastic bonus, because we've talked about how good this is going to be for her spec build, and when we talk about the resonance. And of course, this is basically what she gets. She gets 16% crit rate, she gets a stacking amount of critical damage, and she also gets some ultimate might for each point of Moxie held, which of course can further boost up her damage. If you want other options, I would recommend something simple. I was gonna say Luxurious Leisure, but technically her ult's not a single target, it's mass, so it doesn't work. But you can go Rehearsal of Dreams just for the ultimate might stacking bonus. That's about it. Carrot of a Heart is kind of usable for her, to be honest, because you're gonna get a lot of Moxie very quickly. So if you can combine this with her Passion Drain effect, you can really quickly accumulate to really trigger the effect of this effect. And then of course you're also getting critical rate as a bonus too. But if it's like a starting option for you to effectively start working, if you don't have the time to get her cube just yet and you just got Rico and you want to use her immediately, or you don't have the resources to build her cube, Carrot of a Heart isn't actually a terrible option. It's actually fairly decent. You get the same crit rate, a little less attack, but I think you still get a 16% crit rate. You get a lot of ultimate might bonus, and you also get an additional amount, which of course, even if it's at level 1, you're getting 12% ultimate might, which is still very much helpful. You can also just run standard Blanchimor of Night too, just to get standard damage dealt up. This of course will be more reliant if you're running with units with negative statuses on your team. So there is that. She does afflict at least one negative status with the Passion Drain, so you will probably just need someone else who can help with negative statuses. That's about it. So let's talk about her portraits. Her portraits are fairly powerful, actually. P1 gives you 2 stacks of preparation Recoleta whenever she uses her ult, which is strong because that means you can get 2 instant ults. This is very powerful for like Millennia, because what this effectively means with Millennia is that you get full 3 stacks of her fixed plan buff, which means you get max ultimate might in just one go instead of just waiting for another additional ult, because you can get 2 ults effectively with Millennia using the precast and then her ultimate itself. But with this, you can go double double, which of course double precast, and then her ult, and then that's just 3 ults used in a single rotation, and that's 3 ultimates firing off back to back to back. That's so much damage potential for a character, or even just that. So, yeah. You can also trigger different kind of like combinations where you can do one preparation cast early, do some regular skills to build up Moxie for someone else, to then preparation cast again to allow them to ult. Pretty cool combinations there. P2 increases the modifier of Momo Mythic and similar narrative for each stack consumed, which again makes it 70 to 35. Insane upgrade. P3 also 50, 500, 500 for the modifier, again insane. P4 increases the damage modifier of Momo Mythic and a symbol narrative, and she also goes from 5 stacks to 10 stacks of the effect here, which is really, really good. So 375 on total modifier, with making the stacks now 10. So that means you only need to cast the skill twice to get the max 20 modifier. And then P5, the modifiers are finally boosted to 650, 650, so a 200% modifier in total. And then the bonus goes from 3% to 6%, which is, again, very, very powerful. If you want my honest recommendation in portrays, I would recommend you just stop at P1. You could go P2 if you want that extra power for a simple and moment narrative, but P1 is definitely the good stopping point there. So that's that. Next up is going to be our resonance pattern. This is what our build looks like right here. Very high on crit rate, pretty decent critical damage overall, and we have a bit of ultimate might because we did pick up the eludication path. This is the path that you want for your pattern, 100%. You want extra ultimate might. You want to be able to give as much ultimate might bonuses to Recoleta as much as you possibly can. Also, this piece comes with a bit of crit rate, crit damage, which is also fantastic. So there's that. There's also the same one that has the incantation, but again, eludication 190% of the time. Always go eludication for a character like Recoleta. This is a direct build right here. If you want to copy the build, this is it right here. And yeah, if you look over to our stats right here, this is what the final stat looks like. Very, very high on crit rate. Basically 80% crit rate when entering the battle. And then we have 152% crit rate. We have 173% crit. We should bump this up to about 198 before buffs, because you get that extra 15% when entering the battle, and this is not calculated here, so that's actually a lot of crit. And of course we have a bit of ultimate might bonus as well coming from that gene UED piece. But yeah, that is going to be what Recoleta does in a nutshell. Now let's go over to the showcase portion and let's show her off. Alright, this should be the team we're going to be using here for the Recoleta show. It's going to be Rico, Pickles, Millennia, and Fatutu. Millennia is kind of a must for Recoleta teams because of her insane value for ultimate might related teams. But of course, if you don't have her, then just use what you possibly can get. And let's get right into it. So let's see. So the game plan here is very simple. We're going to double cast Millennia's ult. This will give us 4 stacks of fixed plan. And we want to get to 3 stacks with her. We want to get her up to 3 as quickly as possible. So we'll do this to start building up stacks of Ensemble. This too will give us 2 stacks of Momo Mythic. And then we'll set up a debuff. And then we will start to get Millennia ready to ult a 3rd time. Because again, we want to get those 3 stacks as quickly as possible. If we had P1, then it would have been a little bit quicker. But a little bit quicker, but it is what it is. We got a crit that time, which was nice. A little bit of extra damage there. Broke its shield, I believe. So we're going to do that just to chip for damage. And then we'll set up the debuff, and then we'll allow for Millennia to kind of start super battering herself to the next level. She's already at 4, which is great. We have another stack of this, which is cool. Let's set up, actually no, Millennia first, because we have to get that stack. But let's this into this, and then we will set up this again. So boom. So now she has her 3rd ult ready. Okay, so we have another stack of Ensemble narrative, which is great. And then we will buff again with Fatutu. We will ult again, Ensemble here, and then we can get ready to build up Pickles for his ult. and we'll just continue to go from here. We can at least dispel away those annoying buffs, though. Nice crit. Chipped away at his health a little bit. So we need one more ult of a single target to get maximum of it, and we need another cast of the buff card to give us the max of an symbol. So we can kind of get ready to pop the field. Let's see if we actually can pull it off here. Okay, we get one more reroll opportunity. Okay, cool, we got it. So let's do this. Let's pop this for the max effect. Let's pop the 2/2s and use ult. Let's buff. And then next turn, we can get ready to pop our ult and pop our stuff, so. And a little bit of damage there. And then Pickles is going to get ready to buff us up with stuff. I mean, we just get the damage dealt plus 40% because mine is P5. But that is still going to help. That extra damage one doesn't really help too much here, though. We get more stacks there. We're also on full Moxie, too, with Rico, which means our ult's actually going to hit a little harder, too, which is cool. So there's no native way for me to break that shield without actually just attacking. So that's just what we're going to do. We're going to attack. Is there anything I want to do here preemptively? I do need to commit an action with Pickles so I get rousing morale. So I guess we can just dispel. I mean, we technically have Dispel on demand, so that's kind of a waste of a play. We'll just do this. I guess we'll this to get another Millennia ult, I guess, and then we will follow it up with our ult. And let's see how much damage we can do. Oh wait, I feel like I messed it up because I didn't. I should have did that first, then proceeded to do the Pickles thing, because now that means I missed my 30% damage bonus. But let's see how much we can still do here. Jesus Christ! If you just kill the main boss, oh my god! Even with us messing it up, because we technically should have let someone else go first, then we ult. Jesus, we still killed. Dang, man, that's what you're talking about, a premium character right there. That's a premium character. But anyway, who has max? Because these are in red. We can't gain Moxie, I believe, because of the disconcert buff, right? The disconcert buff. So we can still precast because we have to do it regardless. I don't know who is gonna pop. I would assume Rico. Actually, could I manipulate it to make Rico go? Nah, she's not gaining any Moxie. I guess we'll do this. We'll see if it works. I don't think it does. But this won't have any boost or anything. It'll just have the boost from Crimson Mirage. But we just want to kind of get going to kind of knock out these enemies a little bit more quickly. And then we can just heal up with Fatutu. Yeah, she's not gaining anything, so I don't know whose precast is gonna pop on this one because both Pickles and her are at max, effectively, kind of speaking. So I think that was Pickles. Was it Pickles? Yeah, it was Pickles. And we can get a little bit of share cells, share fate. We did freeze Millennia, which is so funny, but we have the protection, so that is another 10 stacks here. We could actually reroll for buff card, and then we could reply up our Crimson thing soon too. Do we want to pop it now though? Because we still get, let me see, this. So this gives me what? We have 5 in symbol already. So it gives me a 10-10 effectively. All right, let's do a 10-10. I mean, 10-10 isn't bad. And then this time we'll have the Roz and morale boost because of we're not butchering it this time. We probably might have been able to wipe the whole field if we had kept the Roz and morale. I'm trying to Roz and morale this. I'm gonna hit this one because he's at ult and maybe we can hopefully knock him out. We should be able to knock him out. If we knock out both of them, that's really good. But if we don't, then it is what it is. I'm only doing this now because we're going to run out of that ultimate buff stuff from the Crimson Mirage, so. Oh, yeah, they're both gone. They're so gone. Yeah, and that's just it, dude. That's just how you play Recoleta. She is, again, very, very strong. If it carries you get her damage output, pretty much did all the damage. And, yeah, like, very, very great unit, man. I cannot recommend her more to people who actually want to pull for a very strong, competent DPS. And yeah, she's very strong. She's very worth her pull, especially if you have her premium options. She's just explosive. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.